I wonder if that's one of 9 that.
Oh, the theory. That is interesting. I had heard that.
Yeah, you're right. I live down there. I'm still. I stopped to learn some choreography. It was a good song.
They're listening fire to that, so we might not.
You're on track for Festus. Got the same foot in the month. What's in it? I used to. Coffee. Players.
That's okay. I'll look your way in. That's not right.
It's chance. Yeah, he outwrote it because he wanted to talk to you. And one night, because this is three of them. Yes.
I hope we went out my lottery ticket that night too. I couldn't.
Yeah, I know people that have been there for 35 years.
Wow. Well, you made it through Friday night, didn't you?
Well, it was a beautiful day. Lots of fun. I stayed home. I didn't go tailgating. Was the wedding out there? What's that? Was the wedding out there? Yeah. It was. Had an aspiration being there. I just think the 6:30 a.m. workshop that they did. Or just participate in that. Like I need to function the rest of it.
And we. How you doing, Derek?
Doing well. Yeah.
All right, I have 6 o'clock, so we're going to call this meeting to order. Jessica, roll call. Lent. Here. Mullen.
Here.
Maher.
Here.
Lucinda. Here. Donnelly. Hampton.
Here.
Next, we have approval of the agenda.
No changes to the agenda, just the one personnel item. We're not going to hire that individual, so we can omit that person from personnel when we get there.
Motion to approve agenda.
So moved.
Second. Second. Roll call. Lent. Yes. Mullen.
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Lucinda. Yes. Hampton.
Yes.
All right. Tonight's student spotlight, we have a group of very famous people. You see their
Yes.
pictures all the time. So please join us up
Sure.
front.
Come on, guys. This is the video team. This group represents the last 10 years, and I'm going to pass around some of their work, and Ms. Henderson is going to show our page. This kind of read from my notes before I get to it, because I am. Here we go. All right. So these are the video team members. When I envisioned this group, I had no idea just how far we would go or how much we would end up doing. The members you see before you here represent 10 years of service. College students, accountants, medical professionals, history, factory workers, and teachers. Beyond them, those who can be it, we have people who work with airlines, restaurants, daycare workers, and professional photographers. A lot of them are parents themselves, so they couldn't all be here. But I was asked about lunchtime today to pull a group together, and this is who stepped up, and I was amazed. I was really proud of them. The video team is part of your community, and every day I'm proud to be a small part of their achievements. So basically, what we do, most of you know our work. We're passing around some yearbooks. All of their pictures end up in our yearbooks. All of their work ends up on our Facebook page. All of the things that we stream and videotape end up on our YouTube channel. Not only do we represent what's happening here at the high school, but we represent what's happening all over the school district and Mount Pleasant, and really to the world. So we are sort of the video for everyone. I'd like them to ask some questions or answer some questions instead of me up here lying on like normally.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves and maybe what was your best memory or what do you take away from your experience?
My name is Chelsea French. I graduated in 2022. My greatest takeaway was being able to bring the community together through the photography and being able to show the younger kids the experiences that they get to experience. Maybe they aren't a part of a sports team, but they can find friends and a team in the video.
Kelsey, what do you do now?
I'm a factory worker.
I'm Aiden Adams. My best memory was probably coming in throughout all the different events going through and seeing everyone work together. And I don't know, just seeing a group like that, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice to be a part of.
And what do you do?
Construction.
I'm Emma Crow. My favorite part was being able to stream for family members who couldn't be there to watch other family members.
Currently as
Yeah, college student.
I'm Joseph Taylor. I graduated in 2016. My favorite part was helping to create something that would give students both a social outlet, but also a artistic outlet that was missing at the high school during my time.
My name is Elena Salee. I am currently on the video team. I am secretary. And my favorite thing is really going out and capturing the community and giving parents and just the community chances to see their kids when, they can sometimes.
My name is Izzy Hart. I am currently on the video team. I am the president. My favorite part would probably be the admiration I feel and whatnot when I get oh, you're doing such a good job, or thank you so much for getting a picture of my kid from the parents as well as the students.
Heidi Miller, I'm a 2024 graduate. My favorite thing was probably seeing everything come together all in one big picture and just kind of helping the newcomers learn what to do and kind of just teaching how.
I'm Ella Gideon. I was also a 2024 graduate. My favorite part was honestly being there for the parents that couldn't, because I kind of understood how that felt when I was younger. And it was nice to have people know that there were people there for them. And I'm currently in Housing County School.
I'm Hannah Beckman. I graduated in 2019 from Mount Pleasant. I was a member of video team for 3 years. My favorite memory was essentially instilling a sense of pride. I remember very much my class was pretty big on video team. And we just enjoyed going to the events, taking pictures, streaming the live streams for the parents that weren't able to be there. But ultimately, it instilled a sense of pride in the students that they were getting to see their work go somewhere, but also allowing other students to be oh, they took my picture, or oh, they took my picture. And I'm currently a middle school teacher at middle school.
Well, we thank you very much. Your hard work and dedication is much appreciated, and always highlighting of Facebook and other others.
I would just add to that a couple of things. One is, Ron, you've done such a great job, and the team has done such a great job over the years, and I mean this in the best way. It's almost like we take it for granted that, hey, MPTV will be there. Those guys are going to cover it. If I can't get there, MPTV is going to be there, and we'll be able to see either the live stream or highlights or photos, and so we almost take that for granted. And again, I mean that in the best way. You guys have done a great job. And the other thing I was going to mention is the lifeline that your team was during COVID, when people couldn't get out, they weren't getting out, and you guys were really the lifeline to what was happening here at school with regard to activities. So I appreciate all your work very much.
Thank you. I would have appreciated that when we were in schools.
Yeah.
My husband and I would have to cover for each other. One couldn't be something, we took the video camera and covered it with one another. So we want to feel very important and see what's going on in our schools.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.
Citizen comments.
Okay, Katie is a writer? Writer,
Yeah.
that's what I thought, okay.
Question, right? So, and this is just some information for you all, but I'm Katie Ryder. I stepped in as the director at Public Health in July when Shelley Van Dorn retired. So I just mainly was making introductions. Mike sits on our Board of Health, and we appreciate your service there. But wanted to highlight some of the programs that we have available just for kids and families. We have a lot beyond what's on there, and we partner with both Lee and Washington County Health Departments to provide some of those services, like iSmiles, the big one that most are familiar with. And then Kelly Carr, who's our outreach coordinator and marketing superstar, and also Mandy Warren, both serve on the school wellness committee. And then we have, from your side, Jen Striegel, and Martin Peterson serve on Healthy Henry Counties for us. So we appreciate the partnership. And if there's any questions or if there's some way that public health can help you all out, please let us know.
Well, I appreciate our partnership with public health a lot. I know, Jennifer and Taylor lean on you guys a lot, and there's a really good, it's a good relationship. And just for example, the back to school health clinic,
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
We had both Jen and Morgan Landscape helped out, like the New Hampton helped. We had such a great response from the schools too. So we appreciate it and we want to continue to partner. So if there's any way we can help out, we're here.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Next up, we have approval of minutes, claims, and financial reports.
The financial report is in your packet. I actually included it here as well. Does anyone have any comments on the financial report? So,
yeah, these are your what you're familiar with. Mr. Chauvel and I prepared these as he exited from the last time. This was his last report. So just the budgeted revenues, what you guys certified last spring, are on the far left, where you actually are, budgeted expenditures, and where you actually are on the map as well.
I just had a couple of items of note from the claims. You probably noticed in there was a couple of large claims, one from Carl A. Nelson Construction. That was for the second part of the chapel repair, and that is complete. We submitted those claims. We submitted those claims to the foundation for reimbursement. We received that check just recently for $248,000. So that's good. The other large claim in there was Gene C. Wiley and Sons Construction, a little over $300,000. That was the first payment application for the transportation, buildings and grounds central receiving facility. And I'll give you a little update on that later in the meeting. One other thing I would just point out, we did purchase a few new items so that the music department could, fifth grade band, of course, fifth grade is at Van Allen. And so fifth grade band is able to rehearse now at Van Allen. We had to buy a few chairs, we had to buy a few music stands, bass drum, a few things, so that they are able to practice at Van Allen. It's going okay?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So that's all I have.
Great. Oh, we might point out that $248,000 for the chapel repair came from a private donation to the foundation. It's not taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
I don't know if the public is aware of that.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yes. Yep. Thanks for mentioning that.
Do we have approval of minutes? Oh. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Blend,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Kasinga,
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
So then fiscal year 24 closeout.
Okay, so Jessica is going to go through some of the closeout documents. You have them in your packet, and I'm going to run the scroll here, and maybe she won't get after me if I zoom in too much, Dr. Butler.
It's okay. This is,
Do you want this one or the, whoops, I went too far.
that's okay.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so
every year, every school district in the state of Iowa has to complete a chart of accounts report. And what it does, it just gives you an overview of where you began, your beginning balance in each fund, the revenues coming in, the expenses going out, and then your ending balance. So in the general fund, which is where you pay for your supplies and your personnel and some equipment, started at 6.7, ended at 7.8, so that's roughly a $1.25 million gain from year to year. Student activity fund started at 261,000, ended at 202, 202,000, went down about 59,000, but again, still very, very healthy. In the management fund can be used for things like workers' compensation, property and casualty insurance, workers' comp. That is very healthy. Started the year at 905,000, ended at $1,020,018, which is approximately $114,000 gain over the year before. The SAVE, and this is the one that's kind of highlighted right now with all of the projects that you guys have in mind. This is your penny sales tax. So you began the year at 3.8 million, had revenues and expenses coming out, and your ending balance at the June 30th, 2024 was 4.1 million. And this is primarily what will be used to your central campus renovations. If you have equipment failure during the year, or if you need to do repairs on equipment, that's where this will come in. Mr. Henriksen said that you guys usually spend close to $1 million a year just maintaining equipment and facilities. So this is a very healthy account. Pebble can be used for the same thing. Began the year at 2.5 million, ended at 2.6. Generally, it's ear tagged for technology, but can also be used for the same things that your penny sales tax can be used for. Debt service. This is where we transferred from Pebble into debt service and paid for your Apple computer. So this is the money left over that basically from interest that was accrued year over year, that you guys had that Apple lease, and that's been a couple of leases over. So that's basically all interest. It's really great, 117,000. Then you've got the enterprise fund. Enterprise fund, that is all of the nutrition program. So you started with 926,000, you ended with 931,000. So it's a gain of $5,182. The state likes to see 3 months worth of operating costs and revenues in the enterprise fund. So this is a lot more than that, but as I explained earlier during our committee meeting, during COVID, the federal department just gave us money because they wanted to make sure that the kids were eating, had food, snacks. There were three or four different times when they gave us supply chain assistance money. And so that is why you can see that there's such a large balance in there. But it will get spent down over time. And as costs go up on food, it's great to have such a significant balance in there. This is our special education supplement. This again is one of the 3 reports that all districts in the state of Iowa have to complete. So the very top line is tuition out. And you only had a difference of 1 student year over year from fiscal year 23 to 24. The number of students tuitioned out was 23 in fiscal year 23 and 22 in fiscal year 24. So like I said, you only went down 1 student. Number of resident students, last school year you served 249 resident students. So that's a drop, and that's neither good nor bad, but of 8 students. And then down here, the 26 to 25, those are your non-resident students coming in. So from open enrollment, you're seeing last school year, 25 of all of the open enrolled students had an IEP, an individual education plan. And then I just want to note these figures right here. These are the money. This is the money collected in fiscal year 24 from your kids in fiscal year. It's always 1 year behind. So this is fiscal year's 23's count, and that's the money that we got for them. So these weighted students, this money won't be seen until this year. So that's pretty important when you're talking about special education, that the money is always 1 year behind.
Jessica, this line right here,
Yes.
this is the total of the weighting.
Of the
correct?
weighted.
So
This is, yes.
if you have students with fewer needs, they might be a 1.2, yeah, weighting, or a 172. The next one is 221, and then the highest weighting is 3.74.
Yes.
So these are the totals of the weightings, not the total.
Not the total of the students. Exactly, yes. We did have a question in our committee meeting about contracted services, and I did research that, and that all has to do with Young House, which is Kristen Moore. So that's why that figure drastically reduced over the last couple of years. So all in all, when we take all of this stuff, this is all telling a story, but when we take all of these figures and compact it all the way down, it's going to tell you what our special education balance was at the end of last year. So this is what it was at the end of fiscal year 23, our special education balance. This is what it is in the fiscal year, end of fiscal year 24, $271,213. And when I went back and researched that, a lot of that is personnel costs. So we do spend our money on kids. Now we have more money to spend on kids. Here, you just had to make do. If you have a deficit balance like this, it goes to property tax. It's not bad to have a deficit balance in special education, but you certainly would love to see a positive number so you can spend more money on your students in your classrooms and their needs. So kudos to Mount Pleasant for last year, for sure.
As I mentioned in the committee meeting, I really want to credit Dr. Butler with this significant change with regard to personnel. She's done a really great job of aligning the needs of our students and the amount of adult support that they actually need. And she's just done a great job of bringing that into alignment, which is why you see that difference. Okay, I'll go to the.
So yeah, the last report that we have is the transportation report. We file that every single year as well. That's the last of the 3 reports. This shows the history all the way from fiscal year 2013. And in our policy meeting, rookie mistake here, I had a different net, so this makes way more sense. 751,000 net operating costs in fiscal year 23. Fiscal year 24, $730,677 is what was spent in the transportation department. That's everything. That's your personnel, that's maintenance and repairs, gas, fuel, diesel, the whole shebang, which averages out to $4.32 cost per mile when transporting students. And the average cost per student for transportation in Mount Pleasant last school year was $920. So pretty average. Saw a little bit of a dip, as you can see. One thing that was mentioned in the committee meeting was there were some rebates from Volkswagen with different emissions that the district took advantage of, and so that has to do a little bit with the decline there. So. Sorry, my voice. I was cheering for the Hawkeyes. So.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Any questions? The last thing we have are fund dispatch.
Yeah, so, the fund balances are through July of 2024. Just to, I'll make these bigger, you guys have them in your packet there, but, the first fund is the general fund. As Jessica mentioned, that's your main fund. That's our $25 million fund. 80% of the expenditures from that fund are personnel related, and so that's pretty standard across the state of Iowa, that 80% of your general fund is spent on personnel related things. So you can see at the end of July, 8.192 million. If you, sorry about that, if you go back to July of 2023, it's 6.578 million. And so that's just the way you read that across there. Student activity was 164,806. And 200,000 in July. So I won't go through each one of those, but Jessica highlighted as well, the capital projects, that's our construction fund. That's the saved dollars, that's the penny sales tax dollars. It was almost 3.9 million in 2023, and then just a little over 4 million in 2024. So.
The difference between these figures and the figures on the CAR, these figures right here are our cash and investments. So if you needed to go to the, and you were gonna, all the cash that we have access to at this point. On the CAR, it takes into account your accounts payable, accounts receivable, any liabilities, fixed assets, the whole shebang. So this right here is just cash that we have available on hand right now.
And then finally, as part of this, the last document is our categorical year-end balances. I'll make this bigger as well. But the categoricals, the funding that you receive for categoricals have to be spent in those areas. So for example, the first one on here is homeschool. And we get some, when a family chooses to homeschool and uses our homeschool assistance program, then we get some weighting for those students. And so, but it has to be used on that program. Those balances carry forward from year to year. And you can see, all the way back to fiscal year 11. We have a couple of programs that have significant balances that we talked about in the committee meetings. The homeschools is just a little over $500,000 as a balance of fiscal year 24. This is our talented and gifted program, 131,926. The other significant one with a pretty healthy balance is our preschool program. Preschool students are counted at 0.5, a weighting of 0.5 of the per pupil amount, and so our balance at the end of 24 in preschool is $357,412. So we talked about in the finance meeting, we talked about what's it look like? How do we appropriately spend down some of those balances? So. Okay.
On to reports, instructional services.
Hello, I'm Jody, Whitmore, over at. Our offices are in Burlington, but I serve Mount Pleasant High School and focus on transition programs, so a couple different high schools. And we work with TAG, which is the Transitional Alliance Program, so this is just an invitation that we did for teachers. So we got really good and just so good, so you guys are understanding what we do and how we work together for students.
Rachel, I'm the TAP coordinator here at Mount Pleasant.
And I'm Aiden, I'm the student here.
So basically our mission in general, what we have is to find solutions. We're really good at thinking outside of the box for individuals, and to make a positive difference for every person that we work with.
So the Transition Alliance Fund is a partnership between Regional Arena and Mount Pleasant School. We work with IEP 504 kids, and anybody who has a diagnosed disability, trying to get them to secondary transition. What are we going to do with? What are they going to do after they leave high school?
And same thing, like we work with students that have some type of barrier limitation. So as Rachel said, IEPs or 504s, or it could be just a student that has some type of disability that's referred to a teacher or counselor. And our goal is just to help them while they're in high school, they're ready for when they transition. So that was different for every student, but we are kind of help the teachers and help everybody kind of figure that out and take it one step at a time.
We provide services, so we do some job tours, we do some coaching, we do some life skills, living skills. Just like she said, it depends on what that particular student needs.
And we try to remind people like why refer students to us. It may not look like any more assistance now with their own goals, but down the road, when they graduate, they may need more assistance. So they may need some one-on-one help once they graduate, and just kind of making those connections as the community. So we really try to introduce that early, like in IAP meetings or with parents to try to help them kind of get more forward thinking and help them get prepared.
So potentially all of the students are going to be them 504 IEP kids. So any of them will have like your employability skills. We do self-advocacy. So I go into the special ed classrooms once a week to every classroom and give them some type of activity or lesson on whether it be employability, whether it be self-advocacy, just different lessons. And then to be an open file, they have to meet some type of disability. Because not every IEP or 504 kid will have a diagnosis. So it's the ones that need more services we refer to vocational rehab for help.
And that's kind of how we work together. TAP is kind of bundling those students to us, so those individuals that need more assistance are able to open the files. And that limitation that they may have is directly, it may directly impact work. So that's kind of what we try to look at when we do open files. That's kind of the same thing. Basically, so Rachel's gonna work with the potentially eligible and the eligible students, but Rachel's mainly works with students in groups, so she'll only go to classrooms a lot and do presentations. Once we open somebody with low rehab, I'll do more of one-on-one. But one of the beautiful things is that she'll continue to monitor them as well as they graduate. So they might use like their teachers and then for a while, they'll keep us. So we keep working with them, which is really nice until they're in a job successfully for 90 days. So I agree a lot.
Talk about the job fairs and trades. I try to go into special ed and I ask them what time's good for them. So that way there's a group of students, because I think students enjoy more when you go in there as a group versus just that one-on-one. But we do pull you one-on-one for some certain things.
Yeah, we can do a variety of things. What make you fun? These are just some of the things that TAP helps with, and myself. We really try to hit the self-advocacy so that they can advocate for themselves once they graduate, how to speak and really
let people know what they need. Counseling on opportunities in post-secondary or other trainings. Work-based learning we are a wraparound service, so we help with that as well at the school. That was job exploration, independent living skills, and the follow-up until there's money.
This is a Mount Pleasant student from our summer program. This is Hayden at one of our summer programs. We touring the Wise County Sheriff's Department. They got to tour that. We also went to Henry County Sheriff's Department, but he happened to not be able to go to that one. So we talked about when we went to the tours, what jobs were there and what interests they were.
Same thing with job exploration, really just introducing them to like the labor market. What's out there, what are the hires in certain areas, exploring interests, lots of assessments. In the summer, I think we're going to talk about that. We set employer panels as well. We do like mock interviewing, so we're actually able to kind of get that feel of what it's like going for an interview. So the additional things that VR can help with, like I said, we do follow students until they're successfully in a job. We can provide, once a student graduates, we can help provide funding for job coaching and job development under 24. We kind of partner with the case managers and work together to come up with that funding. Grants for post-secondary, if they qualify, we can help with paying for college. Meet with clients individually, provide assessments, all the pre-ed services. We do have a 5-week summer program where we kind of, it's at least 3 days. Rachel did 4.
I did 4 days, so I attended 2. My thing being, I think parents needed to know that my students can be gone at a certain time to a certain time because some of them needed care at home and stuff like that. Plus, I was able to know that they had lunch, like the program there. Some of the other schools did a 9 to 11 on Wednesday and then kept 10 to 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I just thought it was a convenient time and it gave a little bit more hands-on with just some Mount Pleasant kids for them extra days.
But we really just, it's a really good time because all of the high schools work together. So they're able to get a lot of socialization along with all the job tours that we go to and a lot of just all of those pre-ed services that we talked about. We also have a self-employment program that high school students can participate in, which is very cool. It's very outside of the box, and we also provide funding for that if they have some type of an interest in now having a business or in
This is just work-based experience. We went to a farm and they did some work-based learning there. They did some work-based learning and meals. They made their own meals over the summer.
Yeah, but we try to provide exploration of what's out there as far as colleges and training. We assist with financial aid stuff. We try to partner with the schools to help with some financial aid night. Just really trying to combine and try to and try to help as much as we can. I think that's just a picture from summer where we did an activity at SEC. They did a presentation, and we always try to follow it up with some type of an activity.
This is we did our last day of our summer program, which is Mount Pleasant kids. We came together and we did the kids cooked and we cooked for the staff, and then that was on here in the summer for all admin and all staff that was here. The kids really enjoyed that and gave the staff a chance to meet the kids and see what
really good.
see what they did and their learning they did all summer.
Yeah, they did a great job.
We kind of touched on it, just making sure one of the things that we were going to self-advocacy, knowing their rights and their responsibilities, not only here, but once they go on to the workplace, and kind of how to ask for those things as well.
There's a day we had a cancellation because it was raining, so Anna helped us out and they went and cleaned a van and a bus at the bus station. Remember that day?
Yep.
Here's our end of the summer cookout with the staff. We had a great time doing that. These are the students we have currently. We have 16 potentially eligible to be open. We had 4 kids apply and successfully are attending Job Corps this year through the program. So that was a big thing. We have a couple more, I think, lined up to go here this fall that are weighing on where they need to go. That's been a big help, I think, push, but give them another option. Just talk about, we go to a retreat once a year and we go to some conferences and learn and talk with other TACs and other vocational rehab of what they're doing and what we can bring back here.
And then it really kind of what we talk about is building a team for the students and how we all work together and who's involved in this. It's everybody from the teachers, parents, AEA, case managers, and then the post-secondary trade schools. And we're really trying to find what that team looks like for each of the students and trying to make it very individualized, and they also have to say, so they're providing them the entire thing. It's just we're here to kind of help support them.
So Aiden was going to talk to you, tell you what the program's done for him and what he's enjoyed about the program.
So my favorite part about this program was when we did the tour of Stokehold and the sheriff's office.
What else have we done? What about the classroom activities? What are some of the classroom activities you enjoyed?
We did we make brownies for 4th of July. And
What about when we talked about what about your budgeting one? You like when we used the little Skittles on budgeting, we talked about wants and needs.
yeah.
So we kind of, one of theirs that they liked is we took a thing where they had a budgeting or they had to move their little things, sorry, most of you have done, and then we went into it and we talked about what are your wants and what are your needs and how to, you got to budget what's, do you need that expensive pair of jeans or you can have, just kind of relating on that and kind of give them an idea like, yes, you might want that 90 pair of jeans, but can you get away with a $20 pair today? So we kind of went over that and they all enjoyed that because it was kind of a conversation. Somebody's like, no, I have to have this, and then somebody else, so they enjoyed that.
We kind of talked about what you plan on doing, like what you want to do when you graduate. Yeah. What you think, what you're interested in.
I'm gonna get a job and then live in an apartment.
So what's your job or what's your long-term goal?
Have kids and then like
What's your work?
janitor, be a janitor.
Yeah. So he's gonna be working in the kitchen here to do some work experience on, getting some experience on some of that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
How many placements are you following up on? I mean, TAP, we said it was our first year last year.
Yep.
And so, who do you have, or how many do you have placed?
We have 4 at Job Corps. We have one student who came back here.
One student's moving out of the area, so we're trying to transfer them to an office.
Yes.
And we have two that are working with CRPs and community partners. So they're doing job exploration and job shadows right now, so they're on their way. It's just, yeah. Nothing but close anybody, so I think some shape or form we're working with them.
Yeah, we're working with it. We haven't closed anybody yet. But I've followed up with some of ours. And we have 2 that are just at Job Corps, just loving it. They could, the best move they could have made. So I know for sure.
What are they? What's their track at Job Corps?
One is going into medical office. Another is going to CNA. Another one is cable networking. And the other one is networking as well. Pretty sure. So when they go there, they want them to job shadow 3 of them. So they pick the one that they like. So they say sometimes you go in there, you're thinking this is really not what I want, and so they give them like 3 weeks to decide which way they want to go. One should be about finishing, now she's been there since May, I think, April or May. Should be about finishing. And then, there they can go on to Indian Hills, so I would assume she would probably transfer to Indian Hills from there. Any other questions?
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Okay,
You only have 6 votes.
just a few things on the superintendent's report. We talked about save dollars just a little bit. That's the penny sales tax dollars that we receive for any couple related things, physical plant and equipment, construction, those types of things, has to be spent on those kinds of things. So this is an amount that is collected statewide. It's a penny on sales across the state on specific items, and then it's distributed across the state on a per pupil basis. And so based on our enrollment, number of pupils next year, this fiscal year, the estimate is that Mount Pleasant will receive just about $2.4 million in saved dollars. So as Jessica shared, the balances that we currently have, and it keeps us, we use those for updates and upgrades and maintenance and everything that we need to do buildings and grounds wise to keep things in good shape. So that's the estimate for next year. I wanted to give you just a brief update on the transportation and facility project that we have going on out on 1515 East Monroe. We had a construction progress meeting today, and just a few bullets here. The buildings and grounds building itself, the building that will house buildings and grounds, those footings are done. They're going to pour the central receiving footings today. As I was leaving the meeting, the concrete truck was backing up to pour some more of those footings. They'll start digging footings for the bus garage. They're going to do that this afternoon. Then once all of that's done, they'll start laying out the plumbing and anything else that needs to go underneath the slab, and then pour the slabs. Once the slabs, the slabs, they cure for a week once those are poured, and then the building, the actual structures, they'll begin to put the walls up and the trusses and all of that. They hope to bore the main electric line under the road later this week. So the main electric is going to come across the road on the southeast corner. So they're going to bore that, and then that's where on that corner is where our main electrical hookup will be. And so they'll everything will go from that stand to the other 3 buildings. The overhead line that's on the west side of the property, they're going to trench that in, and they hope to start trenching that either later this week or the first part of next week. That way they can get that pole out of there and get that line underground. So construction is about 1 week ahead of schedule, so that's good. I just had a couple of pictures to share with you. I took these today. So this is when you walk out of Wiley's and you look back to the west, this is the transportation, this is the buildings and grounds building. And so you can see the footings are poured here, and stanchions here for the masonry walls that will go in on all of those buildings. This is buildings and grounds. It's a little hard to see, but some of that is poured there. Let's see. And then final one. This is central receiving. They have it formed up, and that's where the trucks are pulling in today to pour those equipment for central receiving. So that's coming along well. I wanted to, the next item on there, number 3, the master planning update. Shared this with the committees at the committee meetings this last week. SDPA and Carl Nelson Construction Company have submitted this proposal. You've seen this. There's not a change in the proposal, but they did include this time a scope of work and a cost for the work. The total cost for the work to be done in the master planning, the cost of it would be $64,500. And you can see the scope of the work there. This is not on our approval list tonight. I asked Dan Culp from Nelson and Vitus Bearing from SVPA to come to, or to remote in to our meeting on the 23rd of September to go back through this one more time, to go back through the schedule one more time as we look ahead to what our facilities could potentially look like in the future. Specifically, what will our elementary programming facilities look like in the future? So they'll be with us on the 23rd. We'll have that meeting right here to go through the any questions we have on the master plan. And that's number 4, our school board work session on Monday. That will likely be a special session, and where I would ask you to consider approval of the scope of the master plan on the 23rd. Just a reminder that the school board convention is Wednesday, November 20th through Friday the 22nd. The main day is Thursday, the 21st, and if anybody would like to attend that, I can certainly make arrangements for that. The final thing that I wanted to share, this was shared at the regional superintendent's meeting the other day. These are the 24-25 concurrent enrollment offerings. These are the ones that are on campus at each of these school districts. So you can see Mount Pleasant, our concurrent enrollment offerings where you not only get high school credit, but you also get college credit through SCC. We have 3 sections of auto technology, 2 sections of construction technology to get credit, 2 sections of English, a section of health sciences, 1 of manufacturing, 4 of welding, and 1 work-based learning. And you can see what the other districts offer as well. So we look very favorable when you compare the regional school districts and concurrent enrollment offerings right here on our own campus. I did ask the person in charge of this at SCC to please share with us the total number of credits that our kids, or a comparison of total number of credits that our kids did last year through concurrent enrollment. Not just these, but also the online programs as well. And we will look again very favorable with the amount of work that our kids do online. That's all I have.
Next, we have board committee reports. Anybody want to share anything? I think we were
quite a few of us were there at both the site and the finance meeting.
All right. No other board, anybody have any other board communications? On to consent items, personnel and open enrollment. So personnel, we do have one change. First name, Jennings, that is being omitted, so we are not approving that one. With that change, we can do open enrollment and personnel together or switches.
Both of those are in your packet. I did include a few notes on your packets of the open enrollments, questions. There were a number of those that have never attended Mount Pleasant. They either were lived in their district of residence, moved into Mount Pleasant, and chose to return back to their district of residence. That's what those notes are.
Second.
Roll call. Lind, yes. Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Singa, yes. Hampton.
Yes.
Do we still have to go?
We do. Are you asking specifically like the teachers? Yeah. So right now we have a long-term substitute in the science department here at the high school. Kate Reidinger is doing physical science. Is that correct, Mr. Wilson? Yep. We have a long-term sub there. We have a long-term sub at the middle school. Well, yeah. We in English, which I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, we have one long-term sub to offer the first in science.
Right.
And then we have our instructional coach who is serving until second semester in ELA.
Right. We have a second semester hire, and we're going to look into doing the same for those other positions as well.
No unfinished business, so new business. First, we have consideration to approve the certified annual report that was presented earlier.
Unless you have questions, I'd recommend that you approve.
Second. Roll call. Lind, yes. Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Singa, yes. Hampton.
Yes.
Next, we have consideration to approve fiscal year 24 special education summary.
Second.
Roll call. Lind, yes. Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Singa, yes. Hampton.
Yes.
And we have consideration to approve the fiscal year 24 transfer.
Second.
Roll call. Lind, yes. Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Singa, yes. Hampton.
Yes.
Next, we have our consideration to approve the 24-25 fundraising.
Okay, went over this with the policy committee last week. Sent it to the principals to get their approval, and then with the policy committee. As you guys know, things come up during the year. If there's a request for a fundraiser, I'll bring it to the policy committee and then to the board for your approval. But these are some of the general fundraisers that we've done in the past. We recommend you approve.
Motion to approve fundraisers.
Approved.
Second. Roll call. Lind, yes. Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Singa, yes. Hampton.
Yes.
And next we have consideration to approve the student handbook section for the library.
So you guys approved the handbooks last month without the library language because we didn't have it done. We now have it done, and it is in the handbooks. Pretty standard or pretty much the same for both the elementary and the secondary. Just what you're allowed to check out, and of course preschool students are not allowed to check out books until their second semester. So would recommend you approve. Vote to approve.
Second. I will second. Roll call. Lind, yes. Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Lucinda,
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Now we have the first readings, recommendations to post changes. The first one up is board policy 501-01, compulsory attendance.
Okay, I'm gonna go through this with you a bit, because it is a big change. The state of Iowa legislatively last year, the governor signed a bill, really highlighting, laws related to student attendance, or lack of attendance, is probably a better way to put it. They're using a term called chronic absenteeism, and they put a figure or a percentage on chronic absenteeism, and truancy, and they redefined truancy. So that's what these policies and the change in these policies are reflecting. It's the change in the law. So I'll go through each of these. We'll do it on the first reading. When we do it the second reading next month, I can do it again. But there's just a lot involved here. Those of you who were at the policy committee meeting, we talked a lot about this. The first policy is compulsory attendance. It has to do just with compulsory attendance. Compulsory attendance is when you are between the ages of 6 and 16 by September 15th. Okay, so this is just compulsory attendance. The current policy talked about the number of days that a student needed to be in attendance as far as being compulsory. The revised policies, you can see there it says 175 days or be referred to the county attorney. The new policy reflects the change in the law. This is just for compulsory attendance, those students who are of compulsory attendance. It says students of compulsory attendance age shall attend school a minimum of 90% of the days in a semester. 90% of the days in a grading period, which is a semester, will be referred to the county attorney. Exemptions to this compulsory attendance policy include, so exemptions to compulsory attendance between the ages of 6 and 16. Well, you're exempt if you're between the ages of 6 and 16 if you've already completed requirements for graduation in an accredited school or have completed your GED. You're exempt. You're exempt from that 90% if you're attending religious services or receiving religious instruction. You're exempt if you are attending an approved private school or prep school. You're exempt if you're from compulsory attendance if you're attending an accredited non-public, or if you're receiving competent private instruction, or you're exempt if you're excused for sufficient reason by a court of record or a judge from compulsory attendance in the 90% that's related to compulsory attendance. Any questions on 501.01? Okay.
89 days in a semester.
This first semester in 24-25, there are 89 days in the first semester and 86 days? 86 days in the second semester. So we'll get into, or I'll try and explain the process and the protocols as we go along here. The next, that's one. Our current policy for excused absences. Well, I think I'm going to go to the revised policy here on excused absences. Student absences, and this is in our handbook, these kinds of absences that are excused, they include, but they're not limited to, illness, family emergencies, recognized religious observances, appointments that can't be scheduled outside the school day. All of those things that you would figure would be excused absences. So if your parent calls in and says, my son or daughter is ill, that is an excused absence. If your parent calls in and says, we have a family emergency, that is an excused absence. The change is that excused absences shall count as days in attendance for purposes of the truancy law, and that is no longer the case. Excused absences do count as part of the 20% of days that you can miss for truancy. I'll get to that in just a little bit, but excused absences like these are no longer automatically exempt in terms of truancy. So the new policy, or the revised policy, reads, that's my head up, revised policy. Any questions on excused absences? I'm just going to go to the revised policy on excused absences. Well, actually, I'm going to pull this up here. Our current policy, 501.01B, the title of it is Truancy and Unexcused Absences, because truancy used to be only related to unexcused absences. If you were cutting class, skipping class, you were truant. That used to be the definition. You got so many days where you were cutting class, you skipped so many days, you were referred to the county attorney and for truancy proceedings. Well, truancy is no longer related only to unexcused absences. Truancy has become a percentage of time missed so we had to change this. We had to change the language in this particular policy because it kept referring to truancy. But again, truancy is not just unexcused absences. I'm going to get into the definition of truancy in our next policy. But so we had to change the language of this. The absences themselves, unexcused absences, they've always been. Include but not limited to absence without parental notification, skip days, shopping, hunting, concerts, hair appointments, oversleeping, those kinds of things. They've always been unexcused absences, and they've always come with the potential of some disciplinary action, including detention, suspension, loss of credit, or expulsion if you just continue to skip. So that's the revised language on our unexcused absences. We have new board policy that defines chronic absenteeism and truancy. Chronic absenteeism, as per the law now, chronic absenteeism are absences for any absence from school for more than 10% of the days in a semester. More than 10% of the days in a semester. Melinda just mentioned we have 89 days in this semester. And so if you were gone from those days, or you were absent of those days for 9 days, 8.9 days, you would be considered chronically absent for any reason. You'd be considered chronically absent. You would get a certified, this is in the regulation that's coming up here, but one of the protocols is we would send a certified letter, certified mail to your home, and we would notify the county attorney that the student has missed 10% of the days and is considered chronically absent. The definition of truancy is no longer, as I mentioned, tied to unexcused absences. Truant or truancy means a child of compulsory attendance age who is absent from school for any reason for at least 20% of the days in a semester. 20% of the days in a semester. So basically, this semester, to avoid truancy, you would have to be absent from school less than 19 days to avoid Mr. Graber sending your name to the county attorney as.
Are you on track? Okay.
Good so far, that's good, that's great. There are some exemptions. There are some exemptions. Again, similar to the compulsory age exemptions. Students who have completed requirements for graduation obviously would not be considered truant. Students are excused for sufficient reason by a court, a record, or a judge would not be considered truant. Students who are attending religious services or receiving religious instruction, that those days would not go into the truancy or the chronic absent, or excuse me, I'm going to be careful, to the truancy calculation. Students who are unable to attend school due to legitimate medical reasons, that would not go into the truancy calculation. If you have an IEP that affects your attendance, that would not go into the truancy calculation. If you have a 504 that hinders your attendance, that would not go into the truancy calculation. Or if you're attending a private prep school or another accredited school, that would not go into the truancy calculation. Any questions on chronic absenteeism and truancy? Finally, the final policy here, the revised policy on the regulation regarding truancy and chronic absenteeism. There's two sections. The regulation's divided into two sections. The legal requirements related to chronic absenteeism and truancy. And Section 2 addresses additional academic and disciplinary things that could happen. All right, chronic absenteeism. If a student is absent from school for at least 10% of the days in a semester, the school official will send notice by mail or email to the county attorney where the district's central office is located. The school official will also notify the student or if a minor, the student's parent, guardian, or legal or actual custodian via certified mail that includes information related to the student's absences from school and the policies and disciplinary processes associated with additional absences. That's if you are chronically absent. If you have missed 9 days or more in the semester, those are the steps that will be taken. If a student is absent from school for at least 15% of the days in a semester, the school official will attempt to find the cause of the absences and start and participate in a school engagement meeting. All of the following individuals must participate in the school engagement meeting: the student, the student's parent, guardian, legal or actual custodian if the student is a minor, the school official. The purpose of the meeting is to understand the reasons for the student's absences and to attempt to remove barriers to ongoing absences. An absentee prevention plan will be entered into based on that meeting. If the student and the student's parent or guardian do not attend the meeting or do not enter into a plan or violate the terms of the plan, the school official will notify the county attorney. And of course, all of that, 10%, 15%, 20%, we notify the county attorney if the student's true. The rest is just the academic part that we've done this. We've done this for forever. Schoolwork missed. This is in our handbook. Schoolwork missed because you're gone because of absences must be made up within the same number of days. So the absence plus one. Talks about unexcused absences. If it doesn't fit the categories, then they're unexcused. 5 unexcused absences at the high school has always been a potential for a loss of credit from that particular course if you're unexcused 5 or more times. Talks about withdrawing a student who has had a loss of credit and where that student goes if they're removed from the class. So this is first reading of those policies. If you approve them this evening, our plan is to use some of the resources that we have from the state and from the Attendance Works program that we use to draft a letter to all families and get that out. We just got the details of this. The law went into effect July 1. We just recently received some of these details on how to put it into play. And so we're trying to make up some ground.
So what will it look like if a student has mono and is sick for 2 weeks and can't come to school? What will that prevention plan look like? Take vitamins? I mean, is it, what happens?
Well, that's a good question. And that's a question that we have asked ourselves and I've asked other superintendents. There is one of the exemptions in there allows us to use a code the code is MEDX, medically exempt. And so if a doctor is excluding the child from school, our opinion is if a medical professional is excluding the child from school, then those should go in as medically exempt and should not count toward truancy. That's our, I don't know if it's our opinion, I guess that would be our interpretation.
I think there's always going to be, not this, but not that. The important thing here is to think about the intent. The intent is to clean up the data so we have really clear data on which students are coming, which students are struggling to get to school, which families are struggling to get their students to school, so that we know we can focus our resources to support them in getting their students to school consistently. That's the goal, is to get students to school consistently and find out which students are getting here and why, so we can help them get here. That's the intent on all of this. For the state, that's the intent. This is not a present issue, this is a state, this is a national issue. So, I'm for one, it is as much of a challenge as this is, I'm happy to ask some guidance, some clear guidelines to go by. So once we get all this figured out, we get into collecting this data, we got that data as you respond, and really come up with some plans for how to create the relationships with families and figure out what's going on, how to support them in their student school. So there's always going to be those ways stuff.
I'm just afraid, depending, if you just lay out, if you just send a letter like that, I agree it's important to communicate to their families, but can you really communicate in a letter and get them to understand? Is it would it be better to have parent information nights where you could ask questions? I mean,
We've had conversations, Martin Peterson is huge, very much involved in this process. We've had conversations about how can we really communicate. In fact, she was just talking to me today about just going to be partnered with her tomorrow on what are the reasons that some families are struggling with university versus school? What are some of the maybe misconceptions about reports of school reports and what are communities and how can we help with educated families? So there's a lot that's being said for being on the same page and communicating the importance of being in school. Yeah. There's more to it than just the letter.
I just think if we're just going to send out, we're gonna have to be prepared for those questions that are going to come. Waiting till parent-teacher conference or something like that probably isn't appropriate.
It's really educating too. If you think about missing a day here or there, it's not a big deal. Those add up to a lot of this instruction time and helping people understand the amount of challenge that creates for students when they're missing 10% of the world instruction. That's a big chunk of time, a big chunk of knowledge that you can see how it's hard to make that up. So helping people understand that this is really important.
Yeah, in perspective, it's chronically absent, basically 2 weeks in the semester, and 20% would be just about 4 weeks in the semester. That's a lot of instructional time as well.
You also don't want it to, of course, like, I know my kid's been 6-7 days of coming on my 8th or 9th, well, I'm gonna send them to school, and then they're gonna get sent home. You also don't want that, not that we have those consequences.
Balance.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions on this?
No, you can do them all as one first reading.
All right, so motion to approve the first readings of the board policy series that are 501.
Move to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Flint,
Yes.
Mullen,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Singa,
Yes.
Hampton.
Yes.
Hesitation.
Or protest.
Next item on our new business is that you'll be opening up school board policy series 700, which is non-instructional and business services.
Yep, I'll have any first reading changes for you in October.
And last but not least, consideration to approve an overnight trip request for the FFA National Convention in October.
Yeah, it's great to have Mr. Faith here and some of the FFA kids. You want to share a bit about the trip? Yeah, come on up.
Come on. Okay. Well, first off, thank you so much for having us and considering this. Is there any questions that we can answer for you before we share some of the advantages that this brings to students here at Mount Pleasant?
Will we be having any more demonstrations of the cow?
I gotta get on. We could, if you want.
That was the highlight of that board meeting so far.
That was a long time ago.
I
Couple
know,
years
but
ago.
it's very memorable.
It's one you don't forget.
You'll have to ask
Get
Ethan
filled in
about
on
it
this
later.
one. Okay, all right. Any other questions? So, National Convention offers a lot of great opportunities for students. One of the big ones is they do have student workshops and adult teach workshops that I can attend. It opens doors for students to see different colleges and career opportunities as there is an exhibition there. And also there's competitive events for CDEs and LDEs that students are able to sit in on And if it's something they're interested in competing, or maybe they competed in before, it's a great opportunity for them to take a look at that and learn something from those competing at a national level. We also do some tours. In the past, when I've taken students, we've gone to anywhere from to a seed manufacturer of metal, we've gone to livestock facilities, we've also gone to even an alpaca farm to see just something a little different. Students mostly they see around here, or excuse me, most that they see around here are cattle, pigs, row crops. So something a little different for them to experience. Julie Campbell, you all know her, she's receiving her American degree at the National Convention this year, and that's a great honor, so we definitely want to be there to support and congratulate her on that. And finally, honestly, just the whole experience together is a great teamwork and bonding experience for students that are just getting their feet wet in it, and for those that have been in it for a little while. And it really creates that networking within our organization. Is there anything you all would like to fill in? Most of you have been to the National Convention, correct? Are there any highlights that you brought back from that trip?
I would say, I know Ethan could also say this, that we've gone 3 years now. Just all the different leadership stuff that we've learned from all the workshops. And then I know for me at least, talking to all the different colleges and businesses, that's how I got the job I worked at this summer. I got talking to people up at the National Convention, got in contact with people here. So it's just a bunch of different benefits you can get, and it's definitely helped me look for a career in the college I'll be going to.
I know one of my favorite parts about the convention is that I like to talk a lot. And getting in that setting, a lot of the like-minded people, in this organization, met a lot of really neat folks from across the nation. And one of my favorite parts is getting to bounce different ideas off of each other. For the fundraisers and just overall ways, we can make this organization better, and spread more light, even to our schools, and just our home chapters. But that's one of my favorite parts, just kind of getting that connection, communication with those other like-minded individuals, and trying to bring improvement back home when we come back. So.
How many plan to attend?
We're planning to take 14 students.
And how will those be selected? Where they have to apply or anything?
There's an application that they will all fill out and then ask various questions about some of the things that they've been involved with throughout the year or year prior, and then also maybe some of the things that they could bring back for Jack County's career setting that we can use here.
What kind of tours are you guys looking at? Have you thought about much yet?
Oh yeah, I've got a whole list going.
Because you have to get those in soon, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
The sooner the better.
I've got a sheet farm lined up already.
Thanks for doing it.
Any other questions? Congratulations to me and to Jason. Like the Sweet 16 with the Rushers.
Yes, yes.
Well represents the agricultural world, so.
Very much so.
I'll say this before I know we want to improve. But I had the opportunity during all the freshers to work with many of these people, the FFA kids at the L tent, 5 days, 3 days over the freshers. They were fantastic. They were great, hardworking. Ethan does like to talk. But I tell you, Rich Carlos and I read it. From the time they walked into the tent, it was all, we felt at ease. So I want to thank you all for what you did, the opportunity, and the help that you gave Fantastic group. And I'll move to approve the trip.
Is there a second? Roll call.
Flint,
Yes?
Olin,
Yes.
Maher,
Yes.
Lucinda. Yes. Hampton.
Yes.
Thanks for waiting, for those who waiting. I'm sure you enjoyed the policy part of it, right?
Come to school.
Come to school.
All right, I have 7:29.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Indianapolis. Thank you.
Do you just shut it down or you have to stop?
Yes.
Oh.
Is it live? I got you.